Hi guys, I'm Delia from A Few Grey Hairs. Liz and I are here today together to be able to show you a little bit about how to wash a human hair wig. Now, we are able to make wigs to order as well as hair pieces out of European hair or otherwise out of ethnic hair, any hair texture. And the way that these hair pieces and wigs get washed is slightly different to a normal procedure of washing a wig. So before we get going, I'd like to just pan the camera over to Liz, and you'll see she is hand knotting over here.
Hello everybody. I'm just hand knotting a closure, which is a little hair piece which is going to go on the top of someone's head. Yeah, I think you can see it. It's coming along. I'm just actually now busy finishing off the center.
This is actually made from the lady's own hair. Here it is here. And so it's all European hair.
Yeah,
which
just takes a long time, but we're getting there.
And the nice thing to remember is that with the hair pieces like what Liz has just shown, is that you're able to order specially if you want to have a streak on the one side, or if you have certain requirements where you don't want too much hair, you want it very, very fine. All these things are be able to take into consideration as Liz and I make everything ourselves. So let's start with a wig. This belongs to a young lady called Lexi. She received this wig free as part of our Hairs with Love campaign. And what I'd like to do is just talk you through how to wash a wig like this. So first of all, we're going to start by brushing the wig. So once it's been brushed all the way through, and as you know, you start brushing human hair always from the ends, and then you work your way up to the top, making sure that all the knots are removed right the way around. Then we're going to switch on the water. Always use cold water, even though you're working with human hair. It's preferable because it helps shut the cuticle scales closed and keeps the hair nice and shiny. So one of the very different things with our Hairs with Love wigs is that because it's made from 100% European hair and it hasn't had any chemicals run through it which then removes the cuticle scales, the hair itself is already soft and it doesn't feel coarse by the time you're actually needing to wash it. So what's really needing to be washed is the base. And the base, as you can see, is what's exposed to the person's head, and that there is what picks up any dead skin cells and perspiration. So what we're going to do is once it's been wet, we're going to take our shampoo. Now, we do sell shampoo separately, and you're able to order the preferred shampoo to whatever hair texture it is that you have actually chosen. As you can see, I am being quite generous with the shampoo because we want to make sure that we do wash it. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually leave that for a little while just to penetrate into the actual base. If there's areas which are a little bit thicker, you can just squeeze it ever so slightly to be able to make sure that it is penetrating and giving it a good clean. What we want to avoid though is actually aggravating this and getting the hair into a big knot unnecessarily, because it is a handmade item and we still need to be careful. So there we're going to set aside that wig. The next thing I'm going to wash for you are clip-in extensions. So this has also been made out of European hair, and you have them according to the width across the head as to where you need them, and obviously the hair texture of your choice. So again, we do the same thing. We're going to wet the base of the extensions, and we're going to lay it down on the draining section of the basin. And we're going to apply the shampoo onto the base. As you can see, we're not too worried about the shampoo getting through the hair, because the hair really just picks up dust as it gets worn. And if there has been any styling aid used in the way of gel or mousse or hairspray, the shampoo itself and just running through the actual hair is enough to be able to clean the hair itself. So there, now we're going to leave that to soak as well. And then I'm going to take another closure that Liz has made, something similar to what you're seeing her make at the moment. And the same story. Right, that is then sufficient time for us to come back to our wig. Now you're going to see that this wig has been worn by Lexi for about, I'd say, 3 weeks. And you can see that the hair is still soft. It's actually more the base that needed that wash. So you can see that it's lathered through really nicely already. So depending on for how long the period has been of wearing, you would then give it a second shampoo for every week calculated. But preferably, once you've seen how easy it is to actually wash a wig like this, you will try and wash it weekly or once every 7 wears. So rinsing well is important, and having 2 clean empty basins available is always good because you need the space. As you can see, I'm going to quite a bit of trouble to rinse the material on the inside, because just the shampoo itself running down the hair is enough of a wash. Keeping the hair all in the same direction is important, because we want to have as little pulling on the actual hair as possible. Now we're going to open up a basin for the conditioner. Right, so when it comes to conditioner, we are actually going to put a little bit of conditioner in the actual basin. You don't want to have a lot of water, because otherwise the concentration of the conditioner is diluted. And we want to have a good portion of conditioner going through the ends of the head. So shampoo, as we have already established, is going to go onto the base. And then the conditioner, we're going to just squish around on the ends of the hair. And avoiding as much contact with the actual interior base, the material part of the wig, as possible. So at this stage, once we've squished some of the conditioner around, we're going to lift it, and having the water run through the wig as you're combing it is a very good way of weighting the wig down, so that if there are any knots, they come out really easily by brushing it section by section, starting from the ends and working your way up to the top. Little bit by little bit is important. hair, even European hair, like this is, doesn't like to be dried from towel dried. It likes to be dried from very, very wet. So once all the knots have been removed, we are now going to rinse it and put it on a polystyrene head to drip dry. At this foundation stage, we decide what we're going to do with the top section. So a good way of doing it is holding the actual top section in the palm of your hand and deciding where it is that the parting is going to be worn, if at all. So Lexi likes to wear her hair in that direction. Right. Let's make some space here. All right, a polystyrene head like this one on a base such as this is more than enough to help a wig dry correctly. So now we're going to switch on the water and rinse the interior well. Because it's not a problem if a little bit of conditioner is actually left behind on the actual hair itself. But we don't want to have any conditioner left on the base. So that has a good rinse. And then you can take the water over the hair. Right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put it onto a polystyrene head and let it dry from very wet. So you imagine that you're putting it onto your own head, and so you want to be able to get the actual base on straight, with the ear flaps in the correct side, in the correct placement. And here you're just going to double check that you're happy with your parting and that the hair in the front is coming a little bit forward so that it just helps hide the base slightly. And a good way of doing that is slightly lifting the root area around the hairline or even into the parting, just so that it dries a little bit up with a little bit of height there so that it's not too flush next to the actual head. And then what we're going to do is we're going to leave this to dry. And when it's bone dry, from here, you'll be able to flat iron it, blow dry it, any of the styling that you choose. You can even leave it naturally like this. And if that is the case, at this stage, you would actually just scrunch the hair so that you encourage its natural curl and natural wave inside the actual wig. And then washing a wig is really as easy as that. And because it's done weekly, it's going to be, it's not going to be that dirty by the time you do wash it. So one wash is more than enough. Now we're going to go over to the extensions and the hair replacement. So let's rinse those. Again, holding the actual material, and we're going to rinse that first. What's really lovely is to be able to have a hair wardrobe. And when I finish here, I'm going to show you the boxes that we transport our hair pieces in. And they can be shipped anywhere throughout the country. In South Africa, our boxes with the contents cost basically 60 Rand to transport anywhere. And And that's a nice way to be able to keep the hairpiece or the wig dust-free, as well as if you would like to make use of our free services, which is a free wash every single week for as long as you're wearing wigs or hairpieces, then it's just that cost to be able to transport it back and forth. So here we have some T-pins, and that's the best way to be able to put these extensions in place to dry. Now the big advantage with European hair is that you are able to get the natural hair curl. So for example, you can see that this lady here who donated this hair has a lovely wave to her hair. And up until now, because we've only been able to have Asian and Indian and Brazilian hair, the hair is usually a lot heavier than ours and worn straight. Whereas now you can have a hair texture that is identical to your own hair, and you just can't see where the two hairs marry. Again, this would just get left to drip dry naturally, and then once it's dry, you can style it accordingly. It's usually preferable that you let the hair scrunch dry and do as little styling as possible, because hair, when it's on an extension like this, can last for a very long time, or hair in a wig can last for a very long time if it's managed correctly. So, you know, the less heat, the better, really. So then you can scrunch that, and when that's bone dry, you simply pop them in and be able to blend them in with your own hair. And then lastly, let's finish off with this closure. Let's take that as well. And then that can go into the conditionery water. So this is very long hair. Always start from the bottom so that you don't get any knots. As you can see, you don't have to be too careful. The hair is strong. But remember that, as you saw just now, Liz is hand knotting. So hair by hair goes into the base. And when I'm sewing on the machine and putting the pieces together, equally so, it's just important to be reminded that they are delicate items and can be almost handled the same way that you would handle lingerie. Right. So once that, you first of all have to establish which is the front, which that is. And then the same way that we lifted the hair in the human hair wig, you could do the same thing again here, where you just ever so slightly pull the root area up so that it actually isn't too flat in the drying. And there, a little wardrobe of a closure on top, just to be able to give the hair some smoothness and flat, tidy hair. A few clip-in extensions that can be worn on those days where you just feel like you need a bit of extra fullness. And then here you have a full wig in the European hair, which they're lovely. So let's see where Liz is here.
Not quite finished. But you can see, so this would be going on the front of her head to hide a
thinning, thinning area.
Okay, that's how it would be. This is nice and light, like a feather, and you can see
how beautiful that is, hair by hair.
Not a time, but well worth it
Mm.
in the long run.
That's right.
Okay.
And then lastly, just to show you here, I happen to have a little closure in myself. You can see how easily that gets clipped in. And usually that little sort of like fluffy bit of hair that, you know, you can't always get down without hairspray can be easily fixed with a little closure, because it just gives you that neatness.
And a bit of
and it also gives you long hair from the top to the bottom, which is lovely.
Yes.
Thank you. We hope that you learned something there.
Yes, I'm sure.
Bye.